Hi, thanks for joining us on Burning Bridges podcast. I'm your co-host, Taimana Akenclose, also known as T, along with my beautiful fiancée, Renz. The reason why I wanted to do this podcast is I've always been curious about what other people have gone through, their adversities and their struggles in life, and how they've dealt with it and how they've healed from it or on the journey of healing, and to become the successful person they are today. And if we can just help one person out there, then this podcast has achieved its purpose. By watching this, you're not going to feel alone, that a lot of people are going through or have gone through a similar situation as yourself. Podcast focuses on more so their change, their turning point to make their life better, to be the person they are today. If you enjoy our podcast, please follow, click that thumbs up and subscribe, and that will help us bring more episodes to you, your everyday person, along with high profile people that's going to bring something that they've never shared in public before. So let's get into this episode. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for joining us with our last episode of 2025. Keilah Sauni is a mother, wife, and a successful businesswoman who has also founded several businesses and now offers mentorship. Let's hear her journey.
The following episode may contain discussions of sensitive and potentially distressing topics. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. This content is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all listeners, for informational purposes only, and does not constitute professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Hi, I'm Keilah Sauni. I'm sitting here with Burning Bridges podcast. I am the owner and founder of Fame and Feisty Lash and Brow Academy and Keilah Sauni Coaching.
Keilah Sauni, thank you for joining us on Burning Bridges. We appreciate you coming and giving us your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's great to have you. We've known each other for some time, but we don't have a lot to do with each other.
Yeah.
I worked with your husband in the tunnels in construction years ago, and that's how we met. And seeing your journey, what you have achieved in that time is amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm very interested to hear your story, how you got there and what you've done and the troubles and everything else, and being a mother, running a family on top of your business and succeeding in the process.
Yeah.
So, tell us about that. Let's start off where you're born and just growing up from there.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Auckland, New Zealand. I lived with my mum and dad up until I was about 17. I have one sister. And I grew up in a household where, and we were speaking about this yesterday, but I grew up in a household where I think from the outside, if you had known me growing up, I looked like, a kind of happy-go-lucky, had it all together, everything going on, kind of young girl. And what a lot of people don't realize is that on the inside there was a lot of pain and suffering and comparison and not feeling good enough in terms of the way that I was treated within my family. And I love my parents, and I know now that my mum and dad were doing the best that they could with what they knew how. And seeing the way that my dad especially treated my sister differently to me, it created this, I guess, insecurity within myself and a lack of worthiness, I'm not her, I'm not good enough. And unless I'm her, I'm not going to be ever good enough. And so I think that there was always this part of me that was trying to seek approval, trying to really create this sense of where do I belong, because I really felt like I didn't belong. And for a very, very long time, I didn't know why. And I think as an adult doing a lot of personal development work and really having a lot of self-awareness and creating self-awareness around who I actually am and why I think the way I do and why I am the way I am, and being able to, create a life that I want to create, not live a life that I've been conditioned to have, has created so many opportunities for me and really allowed me to look at life with a very, very different perspective, not from through the lens of like, poor me, like I'm not good enough, my sister's better than me, and like my dad loves my sister more, and things like that. Whereas now I can look at this and go, wow, my dad was doing the best that he could. Like, I know my dad loves me. My dad would do anything for me. Like, he would move heaven and earth for me. But as a little girl, I felt like I had to constantly prove that I was good enough, constantly prove that I was worthy enough of his love. And I think that followed me right into adulthood, into motherhood, into, early stages of our marriage. And, through creating and starting a business is one of those things that will really show you where your blind spots are, will really show you where you limit yourself. And so I started this business, and it was like a huge slap in the face, because it was, wanting to give up because I wasn't seeing external validation, or I wasn't getting the instant gratification, or I didn't feel good enough, or, you're literally starting something from the ground up. And so you have to like build this resilience and build in a different way. And that starts with like really building your character and your personality from within. And so I look at where I've come from, and I look at where I am now, and I'm so grateful for all of the lessons and, the journey that I've been able to go on up until today. And obviously, the future looks so exciting for us.
Is that your bigger sister or little sister?
She's my older sister. Yeah, so she's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
And, as a child, I just idolized her.
Is that why you think that you were seeking your dad's approval, but it was really you just wanted to be like your sister? Is that what you think you look at now? Or?
Well, I think it was my dad used to... What I know now, because I've had conversations with my mum, not so much my dad, but with my mum and dad are separated. But with my mum especially, my mum said, Dad thought that you were good. Dad thought like you had everything going on. You were sporty, you were pretty, you were this, you were that, you were all these things. And I was like, yeah, but inside I was like screaming for love and like wanting his attention and his affection. But he was so focused on like building my sister up and, and through my lens, right? Like through my sister's lens, she's probably like, no, Dad treated us the same. And my dad would be like, no, I raised you guys the same. But through the little Keilah's lens, I was viewing the world like, I'm not her. I'm not good enough. I'm treated differently. She's treated better. She gets different things to me. She gets more attention. She gets more support. She gets more love. She gets more connection. And I'm just left to my own devices. But through my parents' lens, it was like, you're good. Like, you're out there doing your thing. You're out there playing sport. You're out there doing all these things, thinking that, like, I was fine. But in reality, it was like I wasn't. And so I think it came back to, like wanting to be just like my sister, because I was like, well, what does she have that I don't? Like,
because I'm just relating because I've got two older sisters.
Yeah.
And I can understand you looking at it differently, but I didn't really have a complex. Like, would you call it a complex about it?
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, like I know, I have a great relationship with my sister now, and I love my parents, and I hold so much like compassion for my parents because, on one hand, I had my dad who favored my sister. And it's really funny because if you speak to anyone in my family, everyone will always say, yeah, your dad definitely favored your sister. So it wasn't just a me thing. It was like, okay, cool. But now I'm like, growing up, I was like, poor me. Like, I was a victim. Like, how dare he treat me differently? Whereas now I'm like, I'm good. Like, good for you, Dad. You know, whatever. Like, I know, I genuinely know that my dad would move heaven and earth for me, and he would. And so now I'm like, I just hold so much space and compassion for him and my family, because I know my dad had a really terrible upbringing. I know that my dad felt a lot like probably how I felt. He was the youngest of his family. He was kind of left to his own devices. His older brothers were prioritized. And so this cycle continues. And, you know, I think it got to a point where, you know, my dad maybe recognized that, but it was kind of like I'd already moved out of home. But I had the opportunity to break that cycle. And so I feel like a lot of what I've done in business and what I've created in my life and what Leigh and I have created in our life together has been a byproduct of actually breaking generational cycles for both of us, because we, you know, saw how we were raised. We saw, you know, what our parents went through, and, you know, the conversations that I've had with my mum as well. I'm like, you never gave me any affection. She's like, I didn't know how, you know. And so again, it comes back to like, okay, cool. She was raised by, you know, her parents who her mother didn't necessarily give her that kind of love and affection. Whereas like from her dad, she did. And so it's this cycle just keeps repeating and repeating, generation after generation after generation, until someone decides enough is enough. Like, it gets to be different. There gets to be another way. And I believe like that gift has been given to me. And so, yeah, for our children, we're creating a very different reality for them.
I see it though, from when you're a child, your perception and your mindset from back then, always chasing and seeking the approval of your father, has made you that person you are, that independent, striving person. So out of all that, that's a blessing and a gift that you've been able to receive from feeling the way you did as a child. So, but you don't realise or know any of that until later in life, and you look back at it and you go, man, that's what shaped me. Yeah.
It's funny because, you know, after years and years and years of like chasing and seeking approval and connection and love from like people outside of myself, ultimately what I needed was the approval and the acceptance of myself. And so when I found that within myself, the external didn't matter. It literally rearranged itself to match the energy that I was exuding from myself, right? It's a very different frequency, feeling like you have to constantly chase and prove and, you know, think that you have to be something or someone in order to be successful or worthy of love or worthy of connection, when in fact all those things come from within. And so when you realize and you build that within yourself, everything else rearranges. You no longer chase external validation. You no longer chase the things that are external of you to feel successful or to feel worthy, because those things are already built within you. And so I think it was just such a beautiful mirror for me growing up, thinking and believing. And I guess this comes back to like the conditioning or maybe the way that I grew up with the belief system. Oh, I need to be her in order to get love and connection, right? The minute we're born, we seek love and connection to survive. And so rewiring that belief of like, oh, I actually just get to be myself and create that within myself and watch the world rearrange around me.
You were good in Auckland, like you had a good high school life?
You know what? Yes and no. Like, I think I enjoyed high school. Like, I loved playing sport and I had, you know, a great group of people around me, but there was definitely this feeling of like loneliness. I think even though I had so many people around me and my mum and dad were there, it was like they weren't present. They were there, but they weren't there. And so I grew up with this like sense of like loneliness. I always felt like I didn't really belong anywhere. And so that followed me through high school. I think I was always trying to find like where I fit in. And again, you know, trying to, I guess, like shrink myself to fit into places that I probably shouldn't have fit into. And again, it's this lesson that I was able to learn going through that experience of, okay, I have lived my life trying to shrink myself to like fit into places where I don't necessarily should belong, or, you know, I try to dim my light so I don't take up too much space, or I'm not, you know, seen as being too much or too loud or whatever it is, and really allow myself to just be me. And it's still very much a journey, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I was about to say that.
yeah, you know, there's absolutely times where I still have to remind myself, like, you are safe to be seen. On the way here, you know, sitting here with you guys on a podcast, you know, that's going out to hundreds of thousands of billions of people on this platform, I'm like, you are safe. You are safe. You are safe. But it's the little girl inside me that is screaming, like, it's not safe to be seen. Like, you're like, abort the mission. What are you doing? Turn the car around. Like, go home. Cancel the podcast. But the way that I see it is if, like, I know the experience that I've lived through, and I know that what I do and the conversations that we have help other people. Who am I to turn this fucking car around, right? I'm like, get your ass in that podcast seat and like have the conversation. And so again, it's reminding myself that it is okay to take these steps that are in alignment with like my greatest good and the greatest good of the work that we get to do together.
By feeling uncomfortable, and that's where the growth is.
Yeah.
Like putting yourself out there, coming here,
Yeah.
jumping in that seat
Yeah.
is growth for you.
Yeah.
And not just you, your business.
Yeah.
And who knows what will come from this
Yeah.
from both parties.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I gotta, every time I fucking sit here, okay? And that's a lot more than you.
Exactly.
So it's like being out of the comfort zone.
And this is where a lot of people stop, right? A lot of people feel this sense of discomfort and they feel like, oh, it's not the right thing to do. Or I feel uncomfortable. Oh, it's wrong. I should stop. I shouldn't go. I shouldn't do that. But this is, like you say, this is where the growth actually happens. This is where you move forward and move closer to the life that you actually want to be living, not the life that you've been conditioned your whole life to have. And so, yeah, I think for me, my, you know, intention for life is like, okay, if it scares me and if it makes me really uncomfortable, it is a full body fuck yes, like I'm in, you know, I'm doing it. And so, yeah, when Lay said they want you to come on the podcast, I was like, I'll do it. And he was like, really? I'm like, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, when Late messaged me and said, yeah, you'll come on, I was like, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Wow, very proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm proud of you.
I'm also proud.
Yeah.
But yeah, just being vulnerable and just speaking your truth just on that, just coming here and doing this.
Yeah. Go and speak on stages and like at conferences and, you know, I'm scared shitless. I've spoken on stages with like 250 women who are my industry peers in a room, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, these women could be sitting there wondering like, who the fuck does she think she is? Oh my God, look at her, look what she's wearing, how can she be up there, or whatever, right? But again, I have the self-awareness to go like, okay, cool. If people are going to judge me, that's fine. That is through their own lived experience. I'm literally just mirroring back to them something that they won't allow themselves to be, do, or have. And so I'm cool with that. I'm cool to be a mirror for people. And what I know to be true is that people will always come back around and go, oh, wow, like I remember that time that I thought you were so up yourself, or I thought this about you, or I thought, you know, you were just like the biggest bitch, or whatever it is, right? Like judgment. And they come back and they, you know, whether it's 12 months later and they're like, wow, actually, I was living my life through my own limitations. You were mirroring back to me something that I wanted for myself, but I wasn't giving myself permission to have or to do. And, you know, often things like this will mirror back to people their own insecurities, their own fears, their own belief systems of like, well, that could never be me. Or, you know, how can she have that going from where she was to, you know, where she is now.
All could be inspiring for them to make the shift and the change to do what they want, to achieve their goals. And that's what we want to get out of this for your journey. So when people want to make that mind shift and they feel stuck and they don't know how to change or the next step, and someone like you can guide them. You'll move from New Zealand to Australia. You had a business in New Zealand before you come over here.
Yeah.
Just tell us a bit about that, and then you moved to Australia and how that happened.
Yeah, so I owned a gym in New Zealand, and we had the gym not for very long, and we decided to sell it. Which was amazing, and it was the right time. We had built the membership up, and we built it I built it in a very like short space of time. And then I met my now husband, and he had this opportunity to come to Australia, and I had just sold the gym, and it was a very kind of fresh relationship. He had been given this opportunity by his best friend to come over to Australia and just create something for himself. And I was like, you need to go. Like, you need to go and do that. And I think we were both in this period of our lives where we had both come out of, you know, not so great relationships. And neither of us were really expecting anything. We were both so focused on ourselves and, you know, just rebuilding our lives. And I think that's why we kind of met when we did, was because we were just so content with where we were at in our current situations, you know, really focusing on ourselves. And he got given an opportunity to come to Australia. So he came over, and you know, it was so funny. I think in the period of like 8 months, I was here probably 10 times. And so I was like, okay, I really need to move over. And so, yeah, within sort of 8 or 9 months, my daughter and I had moved over to Australia and
to Brisbane. Did you come?
Yeah, we came to Brisbane. And I was actually at the time working for ANZ and National Bank in New Zealand when they were still, you know, when National Bank was still around. And I was able to get a role in Brisbane with the ANZ. So I was in like this large corporate organisation. The culture was not the same. And so I really struggled to do the things that they were asking of me, coming from such a beautiful culture in New Zealand to a culture in Australia where it is very different. And I was like, this is not for me. And so I kind of like moved into a few different other roles with a few different other companies, and I ended up in the liquor industry. And I don't know if you guys know, but I actually don't drink alcohol. And so I was in this like industry where I'm expected to be like a pisshead, and I'm the complete opposite. And, you know, at the time, I think we had just fallen pregnant with our second son, and I was made redundant. And I remember the interview that I had with that particular company. They had asked me, are you going to have any more children? And I thought, that's a really odd question to ask a female. Like, would you be asking a male this question in an interview? And I wanted the job. And I was like, no, like, I'm not going to have any more children. Because I knew if I said yes, I knew in my gut they were not going to give me the job. Anyway, we fall pregnant with our second son. They make me redundant. They call me into this meeting and they're like, this is just an informal conversation. We're thinking about, where the business is going, and we're just thinking about options, kind of going down this path. And at the end of the meeting, I get this email saying, thank you for coming. We've decided to make your role redundant. Well, the letter, the redundancy letter, was dated 2 weeks prior to my meeting. So they never had any intention of actually keeping me. And I remember in that moment saying to myself, I will never, ever, ever let another man or anyone treat me the way that I'm being treated right now, because I'm a mum. And we got married not long after our fourth child was 3 months old. We got married and I said to my husband, I was like, I want to start a business. And he was like, do it. Like, now's the time. And I think, he believed in me before I even believed in myself. I think having that driving force behind me, giving me like just breathing belief into me, because again, like I didn't really believe in myself. I was like, oh, this is a great idea, but like, do I actually believe I can do it? I'm not sure. But having someone there to kind of back me and go, you know what, like, you've got this, you're going to be amazing. Of course, like, go and do it. And that's when I started my first business, and it was in the lash industry. I built a beauty salon. And I remember actually that salon thinking, how the fuck am I going to do this? Like, I don't often wear makeup. Like, I'm not a beauty professional whatsoever. But I had my girlfriend did my lashes for my wedding. And I remember opening my eyes and thinking like, holy fuck, I look incredible. I was like, oh my God. Yes. Like, I was like, I look amazing.
You're so lucky, lady.
Literally, you are so lucky to be marrying me. And I thought, this feeling in my body, I wanted to give that to other women. And I was like, cool, I'm going to do, like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make other women feel like I feel right now. And so I didn't know, I didn't have, all the answers to how I was going to do this. I was like, okay, what's the first step? Okay, I've got to learn how to do this. So I enrolled in this course and I was terrible. I was so bad. I remember 3 months in, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm terrible at this. Like, I'm not getting clients. Like, I'm practicing and I'm still really shit. And I'm fucking getting up in the night with a bloody newborn. And like, oh my God, this is so hard. And I remember I actually gave up and I went back and I got a job. And I remember driving to work one day, and I would have been maybe a month or 2 months into this job. And I remember vividly, I was on Gympie Road near Chermside, and I said to myself, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? And it was at that moment that I was like, right, it's on. And I put myself back into my business, build my clientele up, and I just went for it. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, if I want to be the best, if I want to be an elite artist, if I want to be the one that, women come to from all over with premium prices, and I'm earning an incredible income, I have to become that woman who believes that that's what she's worth. And so that's what I did. I was still terrible, but I had this belief in me that I'm going to be the best. And so it was through that change in my mindset that I got to work. I practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced a lot until I got really fucking good. And then my DMs started blowing up with women asking me, like, how are you doing this? Like, where are all these clients coming from? How are you fully booked? How are you so good? And they were asking me, can you teach me? Can I come and learn from you? And so that's really how my next business started, Fame and Feisty, the Lash and Brow Academy. That's how that was birthed, was through literally my DMs actually just being like crazy with people wanting to learn. And you know, before I even launched my business, I already had like my first class was full. And so things just started kind of skyrocketing after that. And, you know, I think back to that time, and that could have gone 1000% two ways. I could have easily stayed with the easy path of like doing a 9 to 5 and working for someone else. I was getting paid, you know, I didn't have to it wasn't hard. I was good at my job. But I knew in my heart and my soul that I was meant to be doing something else. I was meant for more. I was meant for something different. I was meant for autonomy. I was meant for freedom. I wasn't meant for this regimented, like someone else dictating to me how I was spending my days. And so I created, you know, this academy, and then I launched this product line, and then everything just went from strength to strength. And I think it was the end of, or the middle of 2022 or 2023. All the years just are a blur now. My cousin's son actually had said, I'm taking a break away from the NRL. And I was like, holy shit, like that is huge for a young kid to be playing in the NRL and going, I'm actually going to step away. I'm going to go and do travel and go overseas and live my life. And maybe I'll come back. Maybe I won't. And it hit me. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm investing so much time into clients in my salon that I knew in my heart and my soul I was meant to be teaching. I was meant to be sharing like the years and the wisdom of building this business to help others do the same in this industry. And so at the end of that, or the middle of that year, I decided at the end of the year, my salon's closing. And I remember going on my Instagram and saying to my audience, there's a big announcement coming. Can anyone guess what it is? And I kid you not, I reckon I got like 10 messages going, you're mentoring, you're going to be, you're starting a coaching business. And I'm like, no, like that's not it. But then I thought, actually, like there is a gap here. And so that really sparked the next part of my, you know, entrepreneurial journey, was starting my coaching business. Was, yes, I was actually stepping away from my salon to focus on building my Lash and Brow Academy, focusing on my product line and my e-commerce business. And also now I'm launching a coaching business. And so, you know, I think there's just been this really beautiful, natural evolution of business because of the opportunities that I've created for myself, because of the person that I decided to become. You know, it wasn't necessarily about like what I did, even though, you know, the strategy and the structure and the foundation, of course, that is so important. But if you are someone who doesn't believe in yourself, if you're second guessing every 5 fucking minutes, if you're starting something and then you're doubting like, oh no, I'm going to give up because I'm not getting the validation, I'm not getting the instant gratification, no one's blowing smoke up my ass, like, oh, I must be doing something wrong, I've got to like give up. You know, it was deciding to actually push through that fear and that doubt and continue to lead with what I knew I was meant to be doing. And so it's like, I was saying this to you yesterday on the phone, I'm a huge visualizer. And so I create these visions in my mind, and I'm like, okay, if I can see it in my mind, I can create it in my reality. How do I do that? It's like, who do I need to become? And I reverse engineer. I'll see a vision and I just reverse engineer who I need to be in order to become that. And, you know, I'm a bit woo-woo, so I'll speak to my higher self and call on my angels and my guides. And, you know, I listen to the intuitive drops that do come in, and I find that I am divinely guided.
I love that for you.
Me too.
About that, oh man, just everything you just said, I just love it.
Yeah. You love the woo.
Talking about woo, I got up one morning and a few days I was feeling down. A mild of depression maybe. I was just like feeling down and things weren't aligned. That's it. I wasn't feeling aligned. I got up early in the morning, would have been 3:30, went and meditated for probably about 15 to 20 minutes before I had to go to work. And not often I get into like proper meditation. I know that's even a small amount of time, but that's all I could give in that time because I knew I had to get right. And there's a few things going on as where, for example, I didn't have a guest for next week, for the next week's episode. I didn't have a recording done, nothing, and I was stressing. So in my meditation, I just cleared my mind. I wasn't trying to think about getting a guest or who's going to come, whatever. I just had to clear my mind and just be in empty space. And in that process, then thoughts were coming about the guest. And then one of them was, it was a few days prior, I had reached out to Late to try and get you on. I finished.
We got you.
Deep breath, hon.
I got to work. I pulled my phone out 4:30 in the morning. I got a message from Late saying, sorry, it took a while to get back to you. But yeah, Keilah's in.
You know what's so funny about this? Probably a few days before he had actually asked me or said that the message had come through, I was also visualizing more opportunities, speaking opportunities. I was like, I'm really going to push myself, the next 12 months. I'm going to push myself to get more opportunities, to come on to people's podcasts, to get more speaking opportunities, to be on stage. And then he came to me and he said, Taimana wants you to go on their podcast. And I was like, of course. And he was like, really? I was like, yes. I literally just wrote down the other day, I want more opportunities to speak. And so I really think that this, this is how magic and miracles happen, where I'm manifesting more opportunities. You're manifesting someone to come onto your podcast and speak. And we just surrender and we don't worry about it. We don't stress about it. We just align ourselves, our energy with those opportunities to come in, and then it gets delivered. You took the aligned action of like reaching out and asking the question. That's the action in alignment with what you desire. And also, I mean, for me, it was like, wow, that was fast. I literally just wrote that down and like, here's an opportunity. Like, thank you, universe.
And a few days after that, I think it was within a few days or even the next day, I get a message on my TikTok account. And because I've been putting stuff out on there, and this guy's messaged me saying, I really love what you're doing. So I looked at his profile, saw what he's doing. I said, that's cool, what he's doing, breath work. So I messaged him back and just said, oh, look, mate, would you like to catch up? He was one of our last episodes.
I love that.
All from that not feeling right, aligned,
not feeling
and
in
then
alignment.
decided to center myself. And once I centered myself, everything just come. And it's knowing how to do it too, like when you're not feeling right, I'm not doing it consistently enough as I should be. And unfortunately, it's like when you feel as though you're in dire straits or things aren't working for you, you got to go there, but you should be there daily.
I think this is such a beautiful message for everyone because, coming back to center, dropping back into your body and allowing yourself to be grounded and bringing yourself back into alignment. And I think a lot of people, and I know this is so true for a lot of people that I know, is the way that, we've grown up in society has been through a lot of like doubt, fear, lack, scarcity, pressure, you know, needing things outside of ourselves to feel a certain way. And so again, having the awareness, or like really being awake to actually knowing, oh, I feel out of alignment. You have the awareness to go, oh, I feel out of alignment. I'm going to take 15, 20 minutes to bring myself back to center, to allow myself to drop into my body, to do some breath work, to really allow yourself to come home and allow those opportunities and the magic and miracles to happen for you. Because when you're moving from a state of fear, doubt, lack, scarcity, pressure, like, oh, fuck, I don't have anyone for my podcast next week. What am I going to do? Oh, my God, like you're panicking. You're literally affirming, you know, to the universe or whoever you believe in, God, you know, source, whatever, I don't have this. This isn't part of my reality. But when you drop into a state of knowing, of trust, of faith, of belief in what you're doing, and you're moving and taking action in alignment with what it is that you want, time bends to meet you. You know, your reality rearranges right in front of you to give you exactly what you want. You were worried for a moment about, I'm not organized, I don't have someone for my podcast. You dropped back into your body, brought yourself back into alignment, and like it happened that morning within an hour. That's how quick things happen. And I think for a lot of people, they don't stop and pause. They don't take the time to come back to center. They spiral. They stay in a state of doubt, of fear, of worry, of pressure, because, you know, when if you've grown up, and this was true for me, I grew up in a home where, you know, my dad, we had to be quiet. My dad was always watching his horse races, so we had to be quiet. We were meant to be seen, not heard. And so for me, living in that was like internal chaos. And so I became addicted to chaos as a child. I didn't know that. I know that now as an adult because I have the awareness to an understanding of why I was like that. But if you're addicted to chaos, if you're addicted to struggle, if that's all you've ever known, your body, your nervous system will find a way to keep you in what feels normal for you. Unless you have the awareness to change it, you will continue to spiral and stay in that state of chaos, of victim mentality, of struggle, unless you're like, no, I can choose differently. I have the power to choose differently.
Yeah, you're living in the stress. You're staying and living in that stress.
In survival.
Yeah, in survival mode. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love your mindset, and I want to get more into your mindset of to try and teach or help our listeners when they feel stuck in a rut and they feel as though there's no way out, there's no option. What would your advice of how they can shift that?
I would start small. You know, I think people look at these, whether they're, you know, on social media and they're looking at the life that other people are living and they're like, oh, I could never have that, or they're, you know, they feel so stuck in their current situation, or like you say, they feel like they're stuck in a rut. A lot of people go, I want to be there. You know, I want to be all the way up here and I'm so far from that. How can you just take one step that is in alignment with your highest good, with your greatest vision? How can you just take one small step? How can you shift your energy into a state that is actually supportive of your next level, of your evolution, of your growth, not spiral and sit there and be like, poor me, I don't have the answers, I don't know what to do. Because the more that you affirm, I don't know, I will catch myself if I ever say I don't know, because I don't know is like, it's like I've given up because I can always find the answers. If I don't know, I can ask for help. I can seek support. I can hire mentors. And if I don't have the, if people don't have the monetary means to hire mentors, are there resources that I can utilize? Are there books that I can read? Are there things that people that I can surround myself with? Are there community groups? Are there, another thing that with that small step is, for me, when I was going through probably like the fucking trenches, I was constantly asking myself, what do I need to stop doing and what do I need to start doing? And I could literally list, 10, 20 things that I had to stop doing. And it's uncomfortable and it's gnarly. And I say in the trenches because growth feels like you're in the fucking trenches. It feels like you're so alone. It feels like your whole world is crumbling down around you. Your whole reality it feels like it's burning to the ground. When in what's actually happening is you're releasing things that no longer serve you. You're putting boundaries in place that don't support your next level. You're letting go of people, of relationships that aren't supportive, aren't meant to come on this journey with you. And so if people are stuck in the trenches, stuck in a rut, if they feel stuck in their life, okay, what is in my control right now? What can I stop doing and what can I start doing? What small step can I take today that is in alignment with where I want to go? The next day, how can I take that one step even further? The day after, again, can we keep moving? Can we keep taking these small steps? Because those small steps forward end up being, you wake up one day and it's like you've quantum leapt, but you've literally been walking through the darkness for a month or 2 months. And, it's knowing that things are going to feel uncertain. But if we stop when things are uncertain, we're never giving ourselves the opportunity to create something new. Because as human beings, we want familiar, right? We want that, like, what feels comfortable. We want routine. We want that regimented, like, I feel safe, right? It's safety. Our nervous system feels safe in the familiar. But if we want to create something different, we can't be in the familiar. We have to step into and get really comfortable being uncomfortable. And so, allowing people to, or giving people, empowering people to lead their life in uncertainty, in doing things that are uncomfortable, in doing things that are different, in change. And I think, for me, I was in a state of survival from a very young age, and I didn't even know it, and being a solo mum for a period of time, I was in survival. Like, I was literally struggling to put food on the table and, wondering, living week to week and wondering how I was going to get by and how I was going to survive. And knowing that I just had to keep working and had to keep going and I couldn't stop. And that's survival. And so when you're in that survival mentality, you are the only one that can get yourself out of that. It is a choice. And so you can choose to shift your perspective and choose to do something differently, even if it is that one thing, reading that one book, going to the library and, getting a book from the library, having a conversation with, some random person, creating a connection, getting a phone number, using resources that you have around you.
Listening to Burning Bridges podcast.
Exactly. Absolutely. It's a great resource. I mean, we joke about it, but it's true. Yeah.
You said before you need to get rid of things in your life and add things in.
Yeah.
Can you share examples or even just one example of what you end up having to get rid of out of your life and what you added in?
You know, I think when I look back at, you know, the last 10 years of business especially, or just life in general, the things that, you know, I've chosen to stop doing, it's like if I want to be, you know, a multi-millionaire, I can't be sleeping in until, you know, 7:30 and going to bed at 10:30 and like starting my day on the back foot and feeling like I'm chasing my tail to then get my kids ready for school and then being frustrated at my kids because their fucking shoes aren't on. And it's like, bitch, you slept until 7:30. Like, that is not fair. And so, like, I chose to take radical responsibility for my actions, for the way that I was showing up in my life, for the way that I was looking at things. And I stopped being a fucking victim. Like, I actually had to stop being a victim. And that was really hard because being a victim got me love, got me support, got me, like, people felt sorry for me. People were wanting to help me. I'm like, this is great. Like, I'm a victim. Like, help me. I'm like, give me support. When you move out of that victim mentality, you do feel alone because you take responsibility for your actions, for yourself, for your results, for your behavior, for the way you think, for the way you show up, for the way you act, literally everything. And so you no longer become dependent on other people. And I still very much ask for support, but now it's through communication. I will ask my husband, I need this from you, or I would love this support from you, or I would love to talk to you about this, versus giving him the silent treatment, walking around the fucking house in a huff and a puff until he gave me some attention and asked me what was wrong. Like, there's a huge difference. You know, I really looked at, okay, cool, like what kind of life do I want to live? What relationships do I want to have? What do I want my marriage to look like? What do I want my business to look like? Where do we want to live? Everything. And I had to stop being a victim. I had to stop feeling sorry for myself. I had to stop thinking that, like, someone was just magically going to come and save me. And I had to start taking radical responsibility. I had to start seeing my part in things. You know, I had to stop using, you know, my dad as an excuse as to, like, why I couldn't achieve what I wanted to achieve. I'm in control of that. I can change that. And so that would be like the biggest thing for me. And there's been so many other things that I've had to stop and start, but taking radical responsibility was definitely by far the biggest. And choosing my attitude, choosing my perspective, seeing things through other people's lenses, knowing that we are all living our life through our own lens and multiple truths can coexist at one time. Your truth can coexist alongside my truth, and your truth can coexist alongside our truths. And, you know, that has just created the most beautiful world for me.
When you talk about, you know, shifting your mentality and stuff, people really need to want to do that for themselves. Luck of the draw, you could your parents talk to you till they're blue in the face, but then a stranger comes and says the exact same thing. Oh, that's such a good idea.
Or your husband says it till he's blue in the face, and then someone else is, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's such a good idea.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, right? And when you want to pick it up and who you're going to take to and making that decision for yourself.
You know, there's I feel like there's like two parts to that, because there's this part where it's like deciding to make the change, okay, cool, I want to make the change. I'm choosing to make this change. The other part is actually making the change, right? It's like so many people start and then the next day they're like, oh, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to go back and do what I was doing yesterday. You know, they give up because it's hard. Because they don't see, you know, that maybe they start the gym. Like, you know, everyone's done this before. You know, I feel like this is a great example. You know, where you go to the gym and it's like, okay, cool, like I'm in it. Day one, cool. Day two, Day three, day four. And then it's like, well, I'm not seeing results. So like, I'm just going to go back to doing nothing. And as humans, we are so used to having everything at our fucking fingertips that everyone just wants this instant result, instant gratification, instant validation, instant fucking like, you know, thing that actually, no, it requires repetition. You know, when I think about rewiring your mindset, if you have been a certain way for 40 years, it is going to take you not one day to rewire your mindset. It takes repetition. It's like muscle memory. You have to constantly be interrupting your thought pattern, right? You have a thought which perpetuates a feeling. Again, this cycle, you have to interrupt that over and over and over again. And I heard and maybe I read somewhere that it takes 1,000 times, 1,000 repetitions before that is actually rewired in your psyche.
Your new default.
Yeah, exactly. In your subconscious. And, you know, there was a conversation the other day where Leigh and I were having, and I can't remember what it was, but he said something to me and I bit back, and he was like, whoa, like you've taken that out of context. And I was like, oh my God, I have. I'm so sorry. Like I did just take that out of context. Like I can see now, like what you mean. I apologize. And I did not have the most generous interpretation of him. I thought he was attacking me when he was just simply making a statement. And when I think about his heart and what he wants for me in our relationship, of course he means, like, his words are loving. Of course he's coming from a supportive place. But because of my internal world, my internal lens, I'm like, he's just attacked me. Oh my God, fight or flight. And so again, it's like, wow, I wasn't quick enough to catch it, but it only took me a second after I was like, hey, to be like, oh, actually, no, I see what you meant. I'm sorry for reacting the way I did. But a lot of people don't have this. This is why so much conflict happens in relationships, is because people are living their life through their own lens. They're perceiving situations through their trauma, through their conditioning, through, you know, a lot of different things. And you might say something and you mean it in a completely different way to how it's received. And you're like, I'm so confused. Like, I didn't mean it that way. But I think, you know, having the awareness around actually multiple truths existing and being able to choose your attitude and choose how you show up and choose how you know, having the most generous interpretation of others.
Having that understanding, because we do it, but we're very like tease a lot like that, and then I'll turn around and go, hey, what are you... That's not what I meant. Sorry,
hon. Session here, right?
But it's about recognizing it instantly. We communicate straight away.
My tone, I'll say something in a bad tone.
Yes.
Yeah, and I
and
mean,
she
like,
puts me in my place straight away. And I'm like,
and not in
like
rude
loving
or
words.
and I'm just like,
Yeah.
are you right? Like, you did not need to talk like that. And he's just like, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, hun. And
Yeah.
it's a two-way street.
That's right. Yeah.
He's got to own it, but I've also got to communicate that I didn't like that.
That's right. Yeah.
It's good for me too, because I'm learning to minimize doing it until I can fully eliminate it out of my
communication.
Yeah.
You're the way that you communicate. It's like, I can communicate from a loving place. I can, even if you're pissed off about something, you can still communicate that from a really loving place.
Yeah, you can. And that's what he learned. He's like, I'm human. Like, I still get pissed off.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Exactly. We're human. We're having a human experience.
Because in the past, if I was to get pulled up, it will make me more angry.
Yeah.
And I go
Your
harder.
egos, hurt.
As where now, maybe it's my age.
Yeah.
I'm more, no.
Or it's the growth.
I'm in the wrong.
It's the
right.
growth,
Yeah.
the evolution. It's like, actually, I don't have to react this way. I get to choose to lead with my loving words and my heart wide open. And
when you're kids, so you've got...
We're a blended family,
Yep.
so we have 2 daughters each from previous relationships, a daughter each, and then 2 little boys together.
Oh, cute.
Girls are 20 and the boys are 12 and 9.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And so how do you express for them to know their space, and when they come to you with... Are they open with you guys?
They are.
Yeah.
And I think from a very young age, I feel like more so in the last probably 5 years, we've created even more of a safer space. But I think, from a very young age, all the kids have known that they can come to us and express how they feel, what's going on, what are they thinking, and actually have that space to talk about their emotions. We went through a period with our youngest boy who was just in this constant state of like rage. He would like be on the ground, like kicking and screaming. And that used to trigger me. It would send my body into just like constriction. And what I realized was that he was simply mirroring back to me something that I wasn't allowed to express as a child. So I had to be good. I had to be the easy one. My sister had, things going on that she needed support with. So I had to be the one that was easygoing. I couldn't take up space because like my parents had a lot going on. And so I learned to suppress my emotions. I learned to just carry it all and hold it all in. And here's, a 4-year-old on the ground kicking and screaming. And I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, to me, that wasn't okay. But obviously a lot of work that I've done, I'm like, okay, he's mirroring back to you something that you weren't allowed to express. You are safe. It's okay. How can we work through this? And I think, obviously having Lay he's just such a patient. He is the most patient human being on the planet. Like, in the fucking universe. Like, this man has the patience of a saint. And I think, God, praise the Lord for him, because, there were times where I felt like I was going to crumble, and he was like, I got this. Don't worry, I got this. And, he would come in and just was like this cool and calm demeanor. And like instantly our son would just be like, like an exhale. My son could probably feel my tension, my constriction, like my body going like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, why is this kid doing this? Whereas like he could feel his father's energy and his father's calm, and he naturally just mirrored what Lay was exuding, until I was able to find that within myself as well. That was something that I had to heal within myself. And, until I got to that place of like, oh, I could watch him and, just be like, okay, cool, I'm good, I don't feel anything. And honestly, when that time came, he had stopped. And I was like, interesting. Like, what a beautiful lesson.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing me like what I needed to heal within myself. Yeah. And just so blessed to have a husband that, could hold us all through that.
I think I need to hang out with Lay a bit more often.
Everyone
so it rubs off on me.
Yeah. Like, honestly, and everyone says it. Everyone. They love just being around him. They love him. He's just infectious to be around.
Well, let's make this podcast about late now. But like every time, so for people that aren't aware, Late does our images for us, Progress Media.
Yeah.
And oh man, Late's probably been one of our first one that's really believed in us before we kicked off.
Yeah. I think he has the ability to see people's visions before they probably even believe in their visions themselves. You know, like I said, he believed in me before I believed in myself. You know, he just breathes life into people and has this ability to lift people up around him.
Okay, enough about Late.
Yeah. Back to me.
You started it.
Back to me.
You went there.
How do you go with business and school runs and all of that sort of thing, balancing all of that?
You know, now is great. I can sit here and be like, I've built this incredible business. I have these incredible brands that I have so much freedom to pick and choose when I work, where I work, which is why we're now moving to the Gold Coast, because it doesn't actually matter where we are. I think I want to talk about early days because I think that would be more helpful for your viewers that are, your listeners that are maybe in, you know, either a 9 to 5 or they're trying to start something up and they're juggling that, whether it's motherhood or fatherhood, and trying to find that balance. And it's something that I wish that I had done early days in business was actually prioritize my family more. Because I know now that I started my business and I was in the survival mode, right? I've just got to work. I've got to hustle. I've got to get clients. I have to do, be on in order to be successful. Well, that's not true. And I know that now. Yes, there is an element of like intention, taking aligned action, like hard work, grit, determination, resilience, all of that. Yes. But actually prioritizing peace and presence with my children, I wish I had done. And so, you know, early days, it actually looked like our kids going into before school care so that I could be at the salon by 8:30 for my first client, you know, and then it got to a stage where I was like, do I actually need to be doing this? And the answer was no. So I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm starting at 10:30. Oh, now I get to do school drop. Now I get to go to Pilates in the morning. And I increased my prices, so now I'm still earning the same, but I'm working less. And so, again, it comes back to this choice. Who are you choosing to be? What energy are you choosing to lead with? How are you choosing to lead your life? Are you choosing to be in a role that requires you to start at 8 a.m. so your kids have to be in before school care? Or can you negotiate your contract at your job to be like, hey, I would love to be more present with my children. Is there a possibility for me to start at 9:30 so that I can do a school drop? Maybe I reduce my lunch break by 15 minutes or I work an extra, whatever it is, right? There's always a way. And so having, you know, that mindset of like, I get to create my reality. And I think this comes back to, again, like having the belief that it's possible for you. Because I think a lot of people go, well, I can't do that because I work 8 till 4. But have you asked? Have you asked the question? And, you know, I work with a lot of female entrepreneurs and a lot of, you know, female founders. And a lot of them say the same thing. Oh, but I have to take clients from 8 o'clock or I have to do this. And I'm like, but do you? And then they're like, yeah, because I've got to, you know, make money or I need to earn a certain amount. It's like, okay, cool. But if we start you at 9:30, you finish at 3 and you increase your prices by $10 per client, like, are you still going to be good? They're like, oh, actually, yes. And then, you know, talking to them about other ways of making money, bringing in different, you know, streams of revenue, passive income, products, whatever it is. there is always a choice. And so for me, early days, it looked like a fucking struggle because I was conditioned to struggle until I chose not to. And so now my mornings are with my children. I get to pour into them. I get to have slow mornings with my husband. I get to, do all these incredible things because I actually chose for that to be my reality. And then I just aligned all my actions so that it happened for us.
Feel us as a country, 7:30 start till 5:30 and eat at your desk and you got to get this done. And one of our offices is in Singapore, and from 12 till 1:30 nobody answers the phones. Everybody steps away from their desk, everybody goes and has lunch, you go outside, you stretch for 20 minutes, and I'm just like, how fucking cool is that?
And again, I had this conversation. I was recently in Bali with my cousins. We had the same conversation, and it comes back to like this expectation on yourself, right? It's like, oh, if I do this, my boss is going to think that I'm this. Or if I do this amount of output, then I'm going to be rewarded, or I'm going to be favored, or whatever. It's all external validation. I'm going to get praised from my boss. I'm going to whatever it is, right? It's external validation. When in fact, it's like, okay, cool. If I step away from my desk and have the 30-minute or 45-minute break that I'm actually fucking entitled to.
Not getting paid
right?
for.
Literally. Like, oh, how different would my life be to actually go out and like put my feet in the earth, get some sun on my face, feel the breeze through my hair, Like how different would I feel for that 30 minutes? How refreshed would I be coming back into the office or wherever you are after that time away? Your life would probably change. You would feel different. You would feel uplifted. You'd feel revitalized. Again, it's a choice. And so, again, like coming back to like, what am I choosing to do? What boundaries do I need to put in place in order to make my life better? Because when you pour into yourself, you pour into those around you from overflow. You no longer pour from an empty cup. You no longer, feel like you're drained. You no longer feel like you're, everyone's taking from you. You are pouring from a full overflowing cup because you're doing all the things that make you feel really good inside.
Can I ask who was somebody that you looked up to, or a book that you love to read?
I love Joe Dispenza. There is a book that I've read a lot of his books, but there is a book, one of the first ones that I read was Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And this book is like mind fucking. Like it is so good because it actually teaches you how to shift, how to change your reality, like how to change your thoughts. And for me, I was already, doing a lot of the things anyway, but just some of the golden nuggets that were in that book, I'm like, they are things that I will, take with me for the rest of my life.
You said how in the early stages you wish you had, prioritised your family. Do you think that your business would have grown to what it is today, or it would have taken a couple years later to get where you are?
It's funny because I don't know. I actually don't know, and I think that I don't ever think about, I wonder what would, because it's like it's happened exactly how it's meant to have happened, and I think I had to go through what I went through to have the wisdom that I do now to help other women and show them a different way, because I grew up thinking that as long as I was working, hustling, burning myself out, sacrificing the things that mattered most to me, sacrificing the people that mattered most to me, sacrificing the relationships, the time, everything that mattered most to me, I was going to be successful. And so that's what I did. I sacrificed time with my kids. I sacrificed time with my husband. I sacrificed so many things very early days. And what I noticed was I actually was not productive. But it was like, okay, cool. Like I'm doing all the things. I'm doing all the things that I'm meant to be doing that my nervous system felt safe doing. As long as I'm sacrificing, as long as I'm struggling, as long as I'm working so hard, I'm going to be successful. But that way of building, because people can build businesses like that, but that way of building is not sustainable because you end up burning out.
Yeah.
And so now that I have all this wisdom, all this live wisdom, I can now help women build in a way where they don't have to sacrifice their lives to build something incredible, to build a life that they have always dreamt of living. And my clients are making more money, working less hours, they have better relationships, they have stronger connections with their partners, they're better mothers, they're more present, they love their lives, all because of the choices that they're making to not conform to what we believed or what we grew up believing was the way. You know, being in this box of like, you've got to work really hard to be successful. It's like, okay, well, can we work intentionally and can we take action that is in alignment with what it is that we actually desire? How do we want to show up? And can we lead with that? And from that place, because they're building from a place of love and expansion and joy and presence and overflow, their reality that's what is being mirrored back to them.
A lady that contacts you, what's the process of what they're going to experience?
I guess like when people come into my world now, and it looks very different because I've scaled my business in a way that supports the life that I want to have. So early days, I was doing a lot of one-to-one calls, a lot of one-to-one clients, whereas now I don't do one-to-one. So I've scaled my business in a way where I work in masterminds. So women will come into my, say, high-level mastermind and get a more intimate experience where they have one-to-one calls added in, but we're also in a very intimate group environment where they actually get to listen to other incredible female founders and what high-level problems are they experiencing? How are they scaling? What kind of conversations are they having with me? What kind of questions are they asking? And what I find is being in these environments, and I love masterminds, I love being in masterminds, is that these women are getting exposure to questions that they didn't even know they needed to ask. They're listening to answers they didn't even know they needed to hear. And so someone who's, you know, doing $20,000, $30,000 months might be asking a question about, okay, what's the next step for me to get to $50,000 months? And I might have someone in there who's just coming into that like 20K bracket. And she's like, oh, wow, well, like I'm listening to conversations where this woman's making this amount of money and she's living her life like this and she has this level of freedom, or she's creating products in this way. That's what's possible for me as well. So you're open to a lot more possibilities versus it's a one-on-one call, you know? And so I love the intimate experience that women get inside of my high-level mastermind. And then I have group coaching, which is a bigger group of women, less touch points, but they still get to come on calls with me, and we're in a group environment. Again, they're listening to other people get coached, mentored. They're listening to what kind of problems people have. I do a lot of work around like manifestation, rewiring subconscious beliefs. I do breath work, somatic work. Like there is a lot that goes into my programs and my coaching that I don't feel are, you know, touched on in like, say, a mainstream coaching container. And then I have programs as well. So personal development programs, mindset programs. I do programs around money and lots of different things. I run retreats. So in-person retreats, I usually host them once or twice a year. The next one is in Bali in 2026, which is really exciting. And so, you know, I have these avenues where women can choose what kind of touch point they want for where they're at in their business. And something that I've always led with for myself is, if I want to be somewhere, if I want to get to a certain level in business, I'm going to put myself in a room where other people are doing the same thing. Even if I'm nowhere near there, the fastest way I'm going to get there is by putting myself in a room with people that have already normalized the level of life, the level of income, the level of business that I want to create. And that has been arguably the biggest time collapse for me in my businesses, is putting myself in rooms with, you know, other mentors, other coaches, doing programs, like allowing myself to be in rooms with people that are, you know, 10, 20 steps ahead of me.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, my saying is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're
in the wrong room. Yeah.
You know, and we've noticed that too, just being around, even just doing this podcast, like talking to people, being around like you guys and just other people, that's how you learn. That's how you grow.
Yeah.
Being in those spaces with those people that you want to get to and be at. And
for sure. It's like, you know, again, you know, I've invested in so many masterminds that being in a room with women who are doing, you know, 6-figure months and, you know, asking questions about where they're at, I'm like, wow, okay, cool. Like, that is the fastest way for me to calibrate to that level, is like, I'm in the room with women who are doing incredible things. I'm seeing what is available to me. I'm seeing that it's possible for me as well. And again, coming back to, like, not necessarily like what do I need to do, but who do I need to be? You know, how do I need to move? What kind of things do I have to, you know, put in place for myself to be able to get those kinds of results as well?
Yeah, it's awesome to be in that space, even just with what we're doing, and the people, their mindset and the way they think, their determination, their drive, their motivation, their discipline, you name it. It's just, put in mindset is... Yeah. And we're just learning off that.
And I think, you know, for a lot of people, the biggest thing that, you know, stops a lot of people from getting to those levels, going back to that conversation earlier, is like, they're not interrupting those thought patterns. You know, their highest self is like, yes, put yourself in the room. And then the doubt creeps in, but what if I'm not good enough? But what if I'm frowned upon? But what if I get it wrong? But what if this? What if that? And again, you have to be able to interrupt those thought patterns and go, actually, like, this is for my greatest good to be in this room. This is where I'm going to grow and evolve and expand. And this is, you know, this is the move that is in alignment with what I desire. And so, of course, I'm going to do it. Always. Always. I'm always going to do it.
And it's been so uncomfortable. I went to a business seminar a few months ago, and I went by myself when I had to go into work, and I felt so out of place.
Sorry. Because he goes, hon, I wish you were there.
It was good.
But what did you prove to yourself that day?
I'm in the room.
Exactly.
I'm learning.
You can do it.
Yeah.
I can do it.
But the thing is, like, okay, you talk business, and these are people that have got products and services. I'm not selling anything. I don't have a product. Anyway, I don't even know why I'm in there. Like, I do a podcast. But I want to learn about business.
But the thing is that you obviously put yourself in that room for a reason. There is something that called you to invest in the ticket or, you know, sign up or to drive there. there was something in you that ignited in you that said, oh, you need to be in that room. I'm going to do it uncomfortable. I'm going to do it afraid. I'm going to do it without Renee. I'm going to do it alone, right? Like you turned up. And so you might not know why yet, but it will all make sense one day.
Yeah.
And so maybe in a month, 2 months, 3 months time, when you get your first sponsorship for your podcast, you'll be like, oh shit, like this is why it's all making sense now. Or maybe you want to launch a product. Maybe you want to start a business. Like, I don't know. Maybe this leads to something else. Maybe there is a bigger picture that you're not actually giving yourself permission to look at yet. And so I feel like that event that you went to on your own is like giving yourself permission to actually allow yourself to even dream to have a business, dream to have something bigger, dream to scale this in a way where it's listened to worldwide in, 50 fucking different countries, and people wanting you guys to come and speak on stages and do keynote speaking or whatever. Bring your story, who knows?
Yeah.
Can you give yourself permission to dream that big?
I do dream that big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So admitting that and going, that's why I'm in the fucking room. That's why I'm here. I know why I'm here. I want more.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't give themselves permission to actually say that out loud because we were taught to be grateful for what we had. And so it goes against what we believe when we say we want more. That I had to overcome that very fucking early in business because I always knew I wanted more. But actually saying that I wanted more, I felt like I was a bad person. I felt like, oh, well, I should just be grateful. I have a great life. I have a great husband. I have a great kids. I have a home. I should be grateful. I've grew up believing like you should be grateful for what get what you're given. Settle. But it was like, you have to, if you want more, you have to go against the grain and actually allow yourself to admit that you want more.
Yeah.
And be okay with wanting more. For me, more meant growing up that you're greedy if you want more. You're a bad person. You're a wanker. You're this, you're that. And it's like I had to rewire all of that to be safe within myself, to say those things out loud, to even have a conversation about making more money, about making, the money that I make. I had to create the safety within my body to be able to do that because at one time of my life, it didn't feel safe to have more or to be more or to have a certain level of, income when I knew people around me were struggling financially. I knew my sister was a single mom. She was budgeting like all the time. She was just to give her kids the best possible life. I felt guilty for earning the money that I did. And, I had to create that safety within myself and rewire the feelings and the beliefs behind having more than most people.
How can people reach you and your socials?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram. That's probably the best place to find me at Keilah Sauni Coaching.
If your younger self was listening to this, what would you say to her?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. No. Oh, God. You know what? I would first just give her like the biggest hug and tell her that she is enough and tell her that she doesn't have to prove anything to anyone, that she is amazing as she is, and to always, always, always just follow her intuition because she knows.
Love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Me tear up.
I know.
I'm so emotional.
God, don't.
Such an emotional person.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Well, thank you
guys.
so much. And yeah, we love you.
We love
and
you. I love you guys.
And
I love you guys.
yeah, we're gonna have fun. Like,
Yeah.
cool.
Watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space, all right.
Yeah.
And with your business and your endeavours and Bali and everything that you've got going on for 2026. Actually, before we do finish up,
Yeah.
your episode is going to be the last one for the year of
Wow.
2025.
Oh my God, I love that. You know
Yes.
what? It's a 9 year. I don't know if I'm not like an astrology expert by any means.
Yeah.
I'm not, but I do know that this is a 9 year.
Yes.
So it's the end of a cycle.
Yes, it is.
It's the year of the snake. So a lot of like shedding has happened. A lot of ends have happened and been happening. A lot of like completions. So I feel like this is actually so perfect for all of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like we have been experiencing a lot of ends. You know, our son just finished primary. We're leaving Brisbane. We're heading to the Gold Coast. Like there is a lot of new beginnings happening in 2026, which is a 1 year. Yeah, so I'm excited to be the last episode.
Yes,
Lucky
you are.
last.
Yes, lucky last.
Save the best for last.
Love that.
So yeah, that's it from us. Thanks for joining us and laters.
Thanks.
I love this. Yes.